In this video, I'm going to teach you how to review the work of another designer to see if it can benefit you. Now, this is a really important part of the portfolio development process because it can help kind of inspire new ideas when you feel like your portfolio has been stagnating. We're going to begin by looking at a different approach to a design portfolio, identify effective presentation techniques, see how developing InDesign skills and graphic skills will improve the development of your presentation and visual communication, and then how to use critical thinking to apply effective strategies to your own work. So I'm going to introduce you to a portfolio by Amanda Cleveland. And you can see here, this is a slightly different format in the sense that this is a longer rectangular presentation. And as we click through, we're going to see that this presentation is what they call facing pages. And so it opens like a book where there's images on the left and right side. So we're going to begin by kind of doing a holistic review of the look where we see the portfolio kind of as a quick look to see the overall impact, and then we'll look at individual pages. So you can see here as we click through, there's just a softness to it, a lot of negative space on certain pages, and then it's packed with information on other pages. You can see that it includes a variety of information types and just kind of a blend of really unique graphics. And so, just to give you some context, at the time that this portfolio was created, Amanda had just completed her undergraduate and graduate work and had spent about a year or so within the profession as a professional, not a student anymore. So, you can see her work is a blend of both professional work and student work. And so you can see here, there's a very, very strong graphic personality that's beginning with an approach of just kind of general minimalism. It's very modern and contemporary, the way she's presenting her information. And it's just very tight and concise. You can see it's 42 pages long, so it's pretty long. But let's go ahead and jump in on a page by page basis. You can see here there's a really nice headshot, or pardon me, a photograph of her outside, and this represents her because she's her area of expertise and research interest is in biophilia, and so this image outdoors in nature works well to begin to express her point of view. She's got a design quote here, and then some just kind of quick information about herself there. You can see here she's included her resume, and then you can see she's got it broken down into professional content, and then student content comes later. But you can see she's got a nice wayfinding device where you can start to preview her work here. But she's included also very brief but really important information about the project type and the square footage. So right immediately you have a feel of what you're about to see, and you can skip forward to projects based on your area of interest. You can see here on this page spread, she's got information right here about the project type and the location, programming information, as well as skill set and responsibility outlined in bullet points here. So it's very, very concise. You can see she's got an inclusion of the logo, some beautiful renderings in which she's got nice scale figures in silhouette that are appropriate to the space. She's got a key plan over here, a very small elevation here, and then a sampling of the materials with the labels below. Notice the justification of the text over here, and then kind of the left justification over here. And you can see that project was probably a very large project, but she just has the most important information included. Same thing here. So you can see now, because she's been consistent so far. We've got logo upper left. We've got a programming information with her responsibilities here, a nice rendering, and then material swatches over here, and then maybe a minor rendering here. So she's already set you up with, this is where you look to get the information that you want, and it works really well. Look at all of her consistency in her margins and her borders, as well as the consistency in where she's labeling objects. This is a really nice page because it starts to call out the specific details of a rendering and what you see in this design. Instead of seeing it in a block here that's going to be difficult to read, a block of text here, she's pulling it out specifically as it relates to the physical attributes within their context. And so this is a really nice effect that Amanda does in a lot of places where she's directly relating information to the design and the finishes as opposed to having it over here, and it's a little bit more effective. Notice the large amount of scale figures in her renderings. This is another project in which, based on what we're seeing here, it was probably not fully designed at the time that this portfolio was created. So she doesn't have those beautiful full color renderings, nor does she have the finishes specified. All she has right now is like programmatic plans where they're starting to separate certain areas within the program and wireframe renderings. But still, this is a lot of information. You can still see the basic information over here. But notice how what she's covering is different, but it's still presented in the same kind of crisp, clean, beautiful way. You can see here this project was even less developed. You can see here all she's got right now is the code searches to make sure that the design that they have will be code compliant first and foremost, but that's a really important skill to show a viewer that you know how to do. So she's developing a life safety plan. She's got an introduction of materials of concept here. And then to infill this negative space, because she doesn't have that beautiful rendering, she's got just a really nice, high quality photograph that sets a tone of, collaboration and teamwork for this project. And that's working really well. So you can see here, that's it. So she's presented these projects from the very most developed, and then she's gradually decreasing the amount of development. So she's presenting her strongest project first. And then she's got some really nice graphic work because she's done some service to the profession where she's set up networking events for the professional organization and IIDA. And so she's presenting some of that here. Okay, now you can see her student content, and it's presented in the exact same way here with the beautiful pictures that entice the viewer to, look and see what's going to be presented. And then you can see there's just this very concise wording that indicates uh, just basic details about these projects. And so you can see here, it's very much kind of the same presentation style, a little bit different on how she's presenting the programmatic information, but still kind of that same minimalist concept with the silhouettes of the scale figures. And then you can see here, this is so effective. She's pulling through the expressions of biophilic research and correlating them directly to her image instead of just blocks and blocks of text. And so you can see here, it's really just kind of illustrating how she's applying research to these renderings, and they're just really beautiful renderings. You can see here, this is another project that she's working on. Again, same balance between words, image and text, very kind of minimalist rendering here with color, but these are interesting and beautiful from a graphic standpoint, even though they are mostly black and white. But you can see here, just as I'm talking to you, how difficult it would be to read information while you're listening to someone describe what you're seeing. And so just be mindful that there's still kind of quite a bit of text here. And that's because there's a lot of research involved in this process. So no, she's got really cool sketches here. And even though it's wonderful to see digital rendering skills, this inclusion of these notes and dynamic hand sketches also add a sense of humanism and personality and kind of a personal warm touch to these digital renderings. So that is particularly strong. You can see here, she's got some furniture designs. Once again, bringing in this really nice graphic element where she's calling out the research within the context of the design. Notice these nicely curated process sketches that are set right alongside the images of her design. These are some studio projects from her time as an undergraduate. And you can see here she's actually presenting these projects in reverse chronology. So she's presenting the ones that she completed most recently first, because they're the fullest expression of her skill set. And then she's going backwards in time. And so these are going to be a little bit less developed from a skill set perspective, even though they still look really good. So you can see here she's incorporating, instead of, this rendered plan, she's incorporating some bubble diagrams. And that's the end. So you can see here, she doesn't have the big thank you page at the end. She just has the white negative space that just sort of leaves you wanting more, but has a nice kind of repose and pause of breathing room that the project is done. And now it's your turn to think and do and decide what you want to do with Amanda and her work. But you can see, if you are so led, the information and contact information for Amanda's right here. And you can see here, she's got all of her credentials at the time brought in right here as well. And so hopefully, if you look at Amanda's work, as well as portfolios from your colleagues or from any number of portfolio websites, and there are many, many websites that allow students and emerging professionals to post their portfolios, you can see that there's a lot to be gained just from looking at other people's work and how they present their work. You can also go to the websites of design firms that you're interested in and see how they present their work. And if you have your heart set on working at a specific design firm, it can be helpful to look at their design language, their graphic techniques, the way that they present information, and figure out how you can incorporate this into your portfolio. So you've seen a very unique approach to a design portfolio. You've identified really effective presentation techniques that Amanda's using here. You've also seen how, just very simple InDesign skills can be leveraged and maximized in layouts to really push that effective visual communication and presentation forward. And then, of course, hopefully, as you were looking through this portfolio with me today, you were thinking about how the things that Amanda used effectively could be perhaps incorporated and made your own as you present and refine your final portfolio.